Power is power. Let me say it again. Power is power. And in today's video, I'm going to address a news article that came out about Bill Gates saying that fossil fuel companies, oil companies in 30 years will be worth very little. So what I have actually pulled up here on the screen is a big play I did several years ago in Gazprom. You can see where the cursor is here. Cost basis is 13,893. Present value is about 25.9, so it's like almost 26. Profits 12,000. The return on the investment is 86.74%. It's actually higher than that. And if you look at total return, it's probably in the triple digits. It's probably over 100, because if you back out dividends as a cost basis, I'm probably well over 100. And the reason I show that is that in, I want to say 2017, 2018, I felt that Gazprom might have been the most undervalued asset on the planet. So I took a bigger position. Again, for me, you can see the cost basis is in like 13.8, and it's worked out thus far. And I don't think I would ever sell Gazprom. It's kind of like a Warren Buffett. My favorite holding period is forever in a situation like this, with what they're doing in Nord Stream 2, and then going into Turkey, going to China, so on and so forth. But let's shift over here. And this is a CNBC article that caught my attention the other day. And it says here, it's Bill Gates. Bill Gates predicts oil companies will be worth very little in 30 years. Here's why. If you're looking for an extremely long-term stock pick from billionaire Bill Gates, here it is. Avoid big oil. And he goes on to say, some of these giants will fall. 30 years from now, some of those oil companies will be worth very little. Gates, an outspoken advocate for investing in renewable energy and green technology, said at the briefing, according to Axios. So here's the thing. I think what you see here is Bill Gates being emblematic of the West. Bill Gates being emblematic of the EU and one might say the tea leaves in the United States of America, which is anti-fossil fuel, anti-drilling, anti-exploration, anti-financing even for these companies. So if you want to do an exploration project and get financing from a bank, well, the bank shareholders do not want the bank, let's say JP Morgan or Bank of America, to lend to fossil fuel companies. So they're essentially cutting their legs off at the knees and saying, run a mile, meaning without financing, sometimes it can be difficult to grow. And so you're seeing this hostility towards oil and gas. And, Rick Perry here, on another CNBC article, says here, and I think he lays it out. And I'm trying to keep this non-political as much as I can, because this is an investment channel, and this all ties into an investment that I just made, which I will discuss towards the end of the video. But Rick Perry says, the Biden administration's restrictive actions, no to pipelines, no to drilling, no to the financing, what I just mentioned there, no to the financing of oil and gas projects overseas, is a stunning reversal of the energy independence achieved under the Trump administration, Rick Perry told CNBC's Hadley Gamble. So Rick Perry is very much making a political statement there that the Biden administration is, as I kind of mentioned, is sort of anti-oil, anti-gas. But you could take it further. It's the result of that is we're no longer in the West energy independent. You're dependent on the Al Sayuds. They run Saudi Arabia, on Russia, so on and so forth. You're dependent on other countries, sort of what Warren Buffett would say, the kindness of strangers. So you have Biden kind of getting on the phone, or his energy secretary begging those countries to pump more, to reduce the price. You can see that a lot of people putting pressure on Putin and Gazprom to supply more gas to lower the price, but they hold the cards, And again, I think that, those in the West are kind of running the world maybe in a fantasy land, as the world should be, or as the world could be, or as the world might be. Where I feel like the Russians, the Saudis, they read books like Machiavelli's The Prince, Clausewitz on War, Sun Tzu's The Art of War. They have the soul of Henry Kissinger, where I think like the new, I would call them, was these new Americans, that are running things. Maybe you're influenced by Howard Zinn and Noam Chomsky and Thomas Piketty, and so on and so forth. And it's kind of like a fantasy land. So anyways, a position that I took actually this morning, based on the success I had with Gazprom, and the fact that Putin in Russia Benjamin Netanyahu said something to the effect of, that's not a country, it's an oil and gas company masquerading as a state. And he kind of laughed when he said it, so it wasn't necessarily a huge insult, but the point is they are very much an oil and gas economy. So while the West, the EU and America are focused on the climate crisis and ceding oil and gas, I think the Russians are going to grab it and dominate it. Putin is very much behind companies like Lukoil, Gazprom, Rosneft, very much behind new drilling, new exploration, new projects. And specifically, what has attracted me to Rosneft is what they're doing in the Arctic. They're actually, as the ice is melting in the Arctic, they're exploring more areas in the Arctic, discovering more oil deposits. And because of the melting ice, they're actually building ships. They built an entire shipyard where they're building ships, icebreakers and ships that can carry the oil and gas, whatever they find there, both to China, so both or to the east, and then to the west, to Europe and the EU. So again, they're going full bore ahead, and we're closing things down. So who do you think is going to win that race? I mean, just think of it from let's take a boxing example. Let's say you take two fighters who are evenly matched, and you put one up in a Las Vegas hotel, and he's going to the buffet every day. He's not exercising. He's got 3 girlfriends in Las Vegas. And you take one to the mountains, Northern California mountains, and he's running hills every day in the high altitude. He's drinking protein shakes, eating egg whites, sparring every day, every other day. I mean, who do you think, again, if they're fairly evenly matched, is going to win that fight? And so, again, you have the EU and the US withdrawing, going full bore into renewable, and the Russians advancing. So I wanted to show 3 videos of Rosneft, short little clips here. I'm not going to make them too long, just to kind of showcase what they're doing in the Arctic and with their retail and some other stuff. And then I want to show the actual trade that I put on. So let's lower my screen here. So you can see this is like one, you see the ice here. This is one of the, I guess they're icebreaker type ships.
5 миллиардов тонн. Выход к Северному морскому пути – это дополнительное конкурентное преимущество. Проводку танкеров через арктические льды обеспечит мощнейший российский ледокольный флот в любом направлении, в Европу или в Азию.
Проект очень большой, конечно, перспективный. И это и увеличение ВВП страны в целом, это увеличение...
Just so you know, that is Igor Sechin right there, Russian oligarch, CEO, leader of Rosneft. And so this is him meeting with Putin, discussing the advances that they've made as a company.
Потока по Северному морскому пути и, конечно, укрепление позиции России в Арктике в целом. Желаем успехов, но это все как следует посчитать.
Будем работать и рассчитываем на поддержку с вашей стороны этого проекта.
Ну а по итогам прошлого года Роснефть как...
So you see there that Putin is saying, I wish you much success. He's not like in the EU and in the US saying, we're pulling your funding. We're shutting down your company. We don't want your company to succeed. It's, I wish you much success. You have my blessing. Totally different mentality. Okay, and this is another video on Rosneft.
exploration activities using, among other things, seismic data analysis, 230 new deposits, and 23 new fields with total reserves amounting to 250 million tons of oil equivalent were discovered only last year. Rosneft is the largest subsoil user in Russia. The company possesses more than one-third of licenses for exploration and production of hydrocarbon raw materials in the entire distributed reserves, in particular for offshore resources development. Geological studies of subsurface resources are being conducted at the most licensed offshore areas of Rosneft in the waters of Russia's Arctic, Far Eastern, and Southern seas. International projects are also being successfully developed, particularly.
So there you go. The offshore licenses really going full bore into the Arctic and expanding their operation, not shrinking it. So, with regard to Bill Gates, maybe he's right. Maybe the political pressure in the West forces Exxon, Chevron, BP, Royal Dutch Shell to shrink and essentially death by politics for those companies. I don't know. I don't know on that. You're talking 30 years out. It's hard to really predict that. I definitely think renewable energy will be part of the future. It's sort of a no-brainer. But I don't know if that oil and gas is going to go the way of the horse and buggy or the flip phone. Obviously with the advent of the car, replace the horse and buggy. With the smartphone, replace the flip phone. I don't know if by 2040 that oil and gas is going to be in the past, or even 2050. So he's doing 30 years, so he's doing 2050. It's hard to say, but I think at least in the somewhat long term, 10, 12, 15 years, these things are going to be very viable, maybe even much, much longer. And then this is also interesting here. It's not related to the Arctic and the shipyard and so on and so forth. It's related more to retail.
29 research and design institutes within the company. Rosneft is a leader in terms of its brand recognition. Its retail business covers 66 geographical regions, being the largest retail site chain in Russia. In 2019, the company completed the acquisition of Petersburg Fuel Company and became one of the leaders of St. Petersburg and the Leningrad region market. Generally, motor fuel retail sales grew 6% over the year. With a mobile application, one can now refuel without leaving the car and also buy associated products in retail side stores. The number of the family team, BP Club and Rosneft loyalty program participants has reached 13.6 million. 45 million cups of hot drinks were sold at the company's retail sites. In 2019, Rosneft sold about 150 million tons of oil.
So there you go. That's also fascinating to me because not only are they just in the traditional oil and gas exploration business, they're in the retail business. And it's the hedge fund manager, Bill Ackman, I think he once said, the richest people in every country are in retail. It's interesting. I hadn't thought of investing in that way, but it actually, when I first saw this, it made me think of, I own a company, Casey's General Store, and they own a lot of convenience stores and gas stations throughout the Midwest. And I believe at one point, I don't know if they still are, they were the third or fifth biggest pizza seller in the US. So they have a whole, the coffee, the pizza, the convenience store. So Rosneft is in that sort of Casey General Store business, but in Russia. They're selling as much coffee, and I don't know if the Russians like pizza, but they're selling a lot of coffee. So they're like a mini Starbucks maybe, So not only are they in the sort of traditional oil and gas, but they've transitioned into the retail of that and the convenience store business, the coffee business, and so on and so forth. So it's sort of an added benefit there. But let's now get to the specific trade. There's a quotation, I don't know if it's from Taleb or it was maybe one of his books. Don't tell me what you believe in, show me your portfolio. So here you go. I'm going to show you my portfolio and how I played this interest in Rosneft. And it's a double play here. So we'll let the screen load. So what I did is, you can see at the bottom here, let me make this a little smaller. Okay. So you see the USD to rubles, USD to rubles. I did this in Interactive Brokers. I don't think you can do this in TD or others. But I did it in like one the other day, and then this morning it filled. But $5,100. So that's my play. I want to do a $5,000 play into Rosneft. But I sold US dollars to buy rubles. Now, why did I do that? You can see it's these two transactions here. USD, ruble, I sold 5,000 at 71.37 and 71.21 here. You can see then that gave me in the first transaction about 7,100 rubles. And then this one gave me 356,881 rubles. I did that as a hedge and a play on money printing. So when you look around at the investing landscape and you go to gold bugs, you go to like the Robert Kiyosaki's, the James Rickards, the Peter Schiffs of the world, it's, kind of sell all your stocks, Jeremy Grantham also would probably be in that, and buy gold, buy silver, buy Bitcoin, get out of the US dollar because of the money printing. Now, I'm not getting out of the US dollar completely, but it's just kind of it's like a double investment on this particular play here, because you have the currency element of it, of the rubles. If the rubles appreciate against the US dollar, there's that benefit. And then I'm actually accessing the Moscow Stock Exchange, MOEX here. And you can see, it looks like it was in a couple different transactions at all three are at 629.90. So you see that's in rubles, the 629.90. So you can see that I purchased 507 plus 58 plus 15. So you see I purchased 580 shares of Rosneft at 629. So you take 629.90. So that's 365,000 rubles. And you could see here the 356 plus 7. So if you minus, and I had some before, I did a little bit before, but you take that 356, 881, 8 minus 7121, that leaves a difference of 1340 in rubles. So it's almost a 1-for-1 trade that I did. I almost did it perfectly there. But yeah, so it's just an interesting play. Rosneft is trading in a single-digit PE as well, and you have the American stock market trading at high valuations, pretty much across any metric: price to book, price to sales, price to earnings. The Buffett indicator is very high. And again, I don't generally make like kind of macro predictions like Kiyosaki said the biggest crash was going to happen in October. That didn't happen. He still is kind of believing it. Jeremy Grantham. You just kind of look at financial media and financial pundits, and they're going to kind of make these macro predictions on where the stock market is going. I always kind of defer to like what Buffett generally says. It will fluctuate. I don't make kind of global macro predictions on these things generally. So, but it's a play on that. It's not gold, silver, Bitcoin, but it's buying rubles, and it's buying an excellent, what I view as an excellent Russian asset that's in the retail business, that's in the oil and gas business, that has the blessing and the support of the Russian state, which the EU and the US don't give their companies. They almost want them to go down and go bankrupt, it seems like. So there you go. That's pretty much it for today. Let me know if you think Bill Gates is right, if you think that this is a mistake on my part and Bill Gates will be proven correct, or if you think this is a very shrewd Machiavellian play on currency conversion and investing. Let me know. Appreciate all the likes and subscribes. Actually, we crossed 2,000 from just 1,700. We have a lot of international audience, which is cool. A lot of people in India, Indonesia as well, and East Asia. So yeah, loving the support. All right, guys, take care. Ciao.